second trip at the free throw line, junior from Paris. Gonzaga traditionally with players from all over the world on their roster. Karnowski from Poland, even Elias Harris from Germany. Long rebound after the missed free throw to West Virginia.
And I think if you're West Virginia, you got to feel pretty good right now. You've not shot the ball well. You've got some foul issues going on early in this contest, and yet you're only down by 4 points. So it's not like Gonzaga's been able to separate at all here in the early stages.
Karnowski picks up a foul, third on Gonzaga. All right, Sean, is this a case of the officials being a little too careful, or are these good calls?
I think it's a little bit of the officials trying to be a little bit too careful, understanding both teams' philosophies. Maybe they're anticipating a little bit, but some of this contact's got to go a little bit.
There's 9 fouls in 4 minutes. Last touch by Gonzaga. Good hustle by Hart. West Virginia maintains possession. Juwan Staten, sophomore point guard, 3 years of eligibility left after transferring from Dayton. Kalichla defended by Karnowski. Here's Miles in the corner. And West Virginia more patient here in this possession, taking time off the shot clock, trying to get a good look.
Some good ball reversal action, making the defense shift side to side. That was a point of emphasis yesterday for Coach Huggins.
Here's Miles for 3. Long rebound, Miles, and a foul. The 4th on Gonzaga. And that's David Stockton Johnson who picks up the personal. His first.
Good execution, a wide open look from the outside. Miles has got to knock that down, but to his credit, he stuck with the play and re-secured the possession.
Well, Kalichla has position on Bell, but they couldn't get it in bounds. And a turnover called. Staten was trying to call timeout, but they did not give it to him. It was a 5-second violation prior to the timeout.
Well, Dave, you saw the mismatch down low. Bell on Kalichla. Problem was they couldn't get it over the top with the person defending the ball.
Bell too strong, but Eddie tracks down the loose ball. Combined 2 of 20 shooting so far here in the first 5 minutes. Ball poked free, and now Staten out of there with it. He'll take it in 1-on-2 and then pull it out. Staten went baseline, and Hart picked up his second foul. That's the 15th foul on Gonzaga.
In a game like this, if the officials are going to continue to call things tight, and that was a good call on the baseline there, but if they're going to call it tight, then you've got to be even that much more aggressive at the offensive end of the floor and put the pressure on your defense.
Kalichla traveled. Another West Virginia turnover. That's the 5th giveaway by the Mountaineers here in 5 minutes. Elias Harris back on the floor for Gonzaga, replacing Eddie. Stockton picked up by Brown. And that pass knocked away, but Bell able to track it down before it crosses the midcourt line. From the corner, Hart is open. And it's 9-2 Bulldog.
Not noted for his offensive scoring ability. Mike Hart does a lot of those little things out on the floor, but a nice job there being ready on the catch to step into a 3.
Another West Virginia turnover. 6th turnover by the Mountaineers. And an 8-0 Zags run over the last 4 minutes. And what did Bob Huggins say yesterday at practice? If we turn it over, we have no shot.
And 6 turnovers, as you mentioned earlier, and a lot of these are unforced errors. I mean, that's just misreading, miscommunication with the recipient of the pass.
And we've got an issue with the shot clock. The clock above the basket on the other end is working. The officials will try to get this ironed out.
You know, going back to just taking care of the ball, valuing the basketball. And that was one of the things that Coach Huggins discussed after their final tune-up against Glanville State. He mentioned that he did not feel comfortable with the way that they took care of the ball. They were too loose with it. And right now they're too loose in this environment. And if you get loose in a place like this and allow Gonzaga to start to build some momentum, digging yourself out of a hole becomes that much more difficult.
West Virginia, no points the last 4.5 minutes. The only bucket coming inside by Eric Murray. Gonzaga with 2 field goals, both threes, and then 3 of 6 at the free throw line. Now the officials talking with both head coaches, letting them know they're going to use just the 1 clock in front of the Gonzaga bench above that basket for time and shot clock as well. So this will make it more difficult on the Gonzaga offense this half.
Zone defense, and the change in the defense by the Mountaineers.
Bell, and it's swatted away by Eric Murray, who had 73 blocks as a sophomore at LaSalle.
Almost another turnover by the Mountaineers.
Aaron Brown on the floor for West Virginia. Harris hit the deck, and Murray with the jumper won't go. Calixto trying to battle, and Stockton out of there with it for the Zags. Karnowski posting up, and lucky for Gonzaga, that went off a West Virginia player. Harris looked at Karnowski and said, no, don't try to bounce that pass in there.
Karnowski's got a great sense about him and is really an excellent passer, but that time he was a little too unselfish, and that's what Harris was telling him. Go ahead and shoot the ball there. I've got weak side rebounding position. Have faith in yourself.
He was deep enough, right, Sean?
No question with his size. At 7'1", 305 pounds. You put yourself down low on the block. Go ahead and give that left-handed hook shot.
Here's Pangos right in front of Huggins. There's his second three. The only field goals for the Zags have come on triples, and they lead by 10. West Virginia's gone more than 5 minutes without a point. 11 straight during that span for the Zags. That's a push-off, another turnover. Second foul on Staten. And the 7th West Virginia turnover.
Kevin Pangos, how do you get open? You deliver the ball to the corner, sneak out the backside, a good screen by Elias Harris, delays just enough. Humphrey couldn't get there, and Pangos able to knock down the shot.
Pangos, a sophomore from Canada, averaged 13.5 points per game a year ago. Hit 9 threes. In that game against Washington State, 33 points in the tip-off marathon last year. Harris finds Dower, and now Bell from the corner. That's the only place on the court where Gonzaga's made a shot. That left side, mainly in the corner, and it's 15-2.
3-point shots were a big reason why Gonzaga got off to a great start in their NCAA matchup, and it's doing it once again. And that time, great inside-out look by Sam Dower. They got the ball down low, immediately find the shooters on the outside.
And a foul before the shot on Bell for reaching in. That's his first. And the 6th on the Zags. West Virginia has gone 6 minutes without a point. The Zags have 4 field goals in the game. They've all been threes. 2 by Pangos. Welcome back to Spokane. We are in hour number 1 and game 1 of 16 of the tip-off marathon, the 5th annual College Hoops tip-off marathon. Coverage including games from 5 different time zones, 14 states. Some great games tomorrow night. Defending champion Kentucky barely escaping against Maryland on Friday night, facing Duke. And Michigan State trying to bounce back after a loss to UConn against Kansas at 7 Eastern time. Now, this is a rematch, so to speak, of an NCAA tournament game from March 15th. 7-10 matchup. Gonzaga the 7th seed, and Gary Bell and Kevin Pangos teamed up for 27 points. And West Virginia, like tonight, couldn't shoot 32% from the field, and the Zags won big, 77-54. And so far tonight, it's Bell and Pangos again. Pangos with 2 threes. Bell just hit one prior to commercial, and the Zags have gone on a 14-0 run over the last 6 minutes. Sean, what has to change for West Virginia above the obvious putting into the basket?
Well, it goes back to what we said off the top in our one-on-one. You got to find some easy looks, and right now the tempo has been completely dictated, partially because of fouls, but mainly because of the aggressive nature of Gonzaga. West Virginia has not been able to get a clean look for Kalichla down low on the block yet in this contest.
Part of that is West Virginia to blame, and some of that is good defense by Gonzaga. And Kalichla having trouble even getting a catch. Case in point, poked free by Harris. 3 on 2. Bell gets the bucket, and it's 17-2. West Virginia quickly up the court, and a blocking foul. As the defender was moving, Brown tried to take it in on Stockton, who picked up his 2nd foul.
Stockton with the punch out. Harris was playing the D. Bell with the finish at the other end. The Zags can get up the floor in a hurry, and if you turn it over, you're feeding the Bulldogs.
17 foul. Both teams are in the bonus. They called that a shooting foul. So 2 free throws for Gary Brown. 66% free throw shooter last year.
And he had a great game in the tournament. 15 points against Gonzaga. And so you're looking for offense right now. You're looking for guys that'll step up, be aggressive, and be able to finish. And maybe Brown will channel some of those 15 points from a year ago to kind of spark the offense.
Kalichla out. West Virginia's played 9 guys already, and some have been in and out of the lineup multiple times. Kalichla included. Both free throws go. 17-4 Gonzaga. Gonzaga started cold, 1 of 12, but the Zags have made their last 4. And a turnover by Gonzaga as Dower tried to save it. Hines, tough shot, but got it to go.
A great job, though, by Brown, saving that ball in bounds, immediately getting his head up the court, and that's some of those easy looks that I was talking about. Get a stop defensively, start building confidence at that end of the floor.
Brown was defending Pangos and grabbed the hold of his uniform, so Brown picks up the fouls first. That's going to put Pangos at the line.
And see Brown, though, immediately throws it ahead. Hines, a nice finish. Great hands and the athleticism. And those transition looks is something they talked about after that game in the NCAA tournament. Playing faster this year, getting out in transition, and that's really the first time we've seen it so far.
That's a new world for West Virginia as Pangos is at the line for a 1-and-1. The Mountaineers in the Big 12, their first conference game January 5th against Oklahoma. They're picked 6th in conference. No players named all Big 12 preseason. How do you think they'll fare in this new league, Sean?
Well, I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. And that's one of the things Coach Huggins mentioned earlier today when we were talking to him is with the transfers, defining roles, it's going to be a process. But what he expects out of his team is that they're going to play tough. They're going to be physical, and they're going to grind it out at the defensive end of the floor. And that's always been the makeup of Coach Huggins' team. And right now, West Virginia has had the punch taken to him a little bit in the early stages of this game.
Zags lead it 19-6 midway through the first half. Three-pointer way off the mark from Aaron Brown. And it's Gonzaga ball.
When you look at the Big 12 this year, obviously Kansas, once again the preseason pick. Baylor off to a good start, and West Virginia start tonight anything but great.
8 turnovers and 2 field goals for West Virginia here early on. Gonzaga as the pass was picked off by Murray, and then Hines didn't see it, hit him in the head. 9 turnovers by West Virginia. Dower puts it down. And a blocking foul on Harris as Aaron Brown took it to the basket. 8th foul on the Zags, 2nd on Harris.
Turnovers leading to offense for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Pangos has his head up, finds Dower over the top. Dower showing some toughness going through the contact, able to finish at the rim. 21-6 start, and Dower, the most aggressive move we've seen out of him so far in this game, and he's a guy that can score in a hurry.
Brown misses the first free throw. Shot just 50% from the foul line last year.
Well, you look at the free throw numbers with Bryant and Jones gone from a year ago for West Virginia. They combined to shoot 78% from the free throw line. The rest of the team shot just 56% from the free throw line. So an area of concern that has to improve.
And you're losing 37 points per game. Plus Jones was a terrific rebounder, 11 boards per game. And Jones was one of their better shooters too. He could sink it from 3-point land. As Humphrey's back on the floor, replacing the foul shooter Brown.
And when you make baskets, it allows you to set up your defense. And right now we're seeing West Virginia extend out their defense, trying to get into the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And the only way they're going to be able to do that, Dave, is by making baskets, scoring points.
They only got 7 in 10 minutes. Pangos trying to drive on Brown. And the angle cut off along the baseline. Eddy with a blow by. Gets into the lane. Beautiful move by Guy Landry-Eddy. 4 points for him. Back to a 16-point lead for the Bulldogs. Miles hits the cutter, and Hines able to catch and flip it off the window quickly.
A quick, beautiful finish by Hines underneath.
And a reach-in foul on Humphrey. 19 foul in West Virginia. First on Humphrey. A 1-and-1 situation here for Gonzaga, which is starting to heat up from the field, and also at the free throw line getting opportunities for points with the clock stop.
And some frustration for West Virginia, and Humphrey goes to the bench.
So Eddy with the front end of the 1-and-1.
It was a tough year for Eddy last year to try to find himself in a rhythm and a flow. He couldn't play for the first 8 games of the season because of playing professionally when he was 15 and 16 years old. But after coming back from that, he just didn't find himself in a rhythm this year. Spending more time being able to get to the practices early makes a world of difference for a player.
His experience certainly last year will help this year. And again, Gonzaga with a lot of depth. Also, you have Kelly Olynyk. We talk about the situation with Eddy last year as the 3 won't go. Olynyk suspended the first 3 games of this season. He'll be available for Gonzaga here in a week or so as West Virginia gives it away. There's Olynyk.
Made the Canadian national team over the course of the summer. And when talking with Mark Few, I asked him what player has improved the most from last year to this year, and he said Kelly Olynyk. When you look at the talent that's out on the floor right now, you can see why expectations are at an all-time high here in Spokane.
Now you got a couple 7-footers, and then you have these great shooters on the perimeter like Pangos, and then you have a slasher in Eddy, who's short with that one, and then a reach-in foul on Hart. That's 3 on him. Well, you talked about the expectations for Gonzaga. The Zags 19th in the country coming in, and obviously high expectations for these 4 teams. Michigan State trying to bounce back after losing to UConn. They'll play Kansas in the State Farm Champions Classic tomorrow at 7. Then you got Duke, Kentucky at 9 Eastern. Duke ranked 9th, Kentucky 3rd. Are the Zags in the class of those 4 teams that we'll see tomorrow night?
Potentially, yes, and that's obviously a dangerous word, but this is, everybody around this program says it's the closest team that they've had in a very long time. They really genuinely like being around each other. And you mentioned the size, the versatility that Mark Few has with this lineup. They're a team that come March could be ready to make a push for a Final Four. They're that good of a team. I mean, you look at Kentucky right now. Last year was such a special year with that group of freshmen. So unselfish, not only at the offensive end, but also the defensive end, and how committed they were to getting stops and rebounding the basketball.
Got a whole new team, though, in Kentucky with all those guys in the NBA.
Well, they were out-rebounded by 12 versus Maryland and gave up 23 offensive rebounds. And taking on Duke as part of the tip-off marathon, they're going to have to figure out a way to keep Mason Plumlee off the glass. Plumlee had 19 and 14 in the opener for the Blue Devils.
Gary Brown just picked up another foul, so Gonzaga's in the double bonus for the remainder of the half. 2 free throws for Pangos. Pangos with 8 points already, a couple of threes. Pangos last year shot 85% at the foul line, knocks both of them down there. It's 27-11, Gonzaga. I want to apologize for the technical difficulties we're having here in Spokane. Gonzaga leading by 16, 27-11. West Virginia with 10 turnovers and 11 points.
2-3 zone for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. You got to box out of the 2-3 zone. Make sure you find body, understand the Mountaineers are going to crash.
And wow, miserable turnover there as Gary Brown picked up the pivot foot and traveled. They have as many giveaways as points here in the first half. Very physical first half between these two teams. 19 fouls have been called as the Zags are rolling in the first half at home.
Game 1 of the 24-hour tip-off marathon, and the Gonzaga Bulldogs up by 16 over West Virginia right now, and it has not been a pretty first half for the Mountaineers. Too many miscues here in the first half, and the turnovers, 11 of them, which equals the amount of points in which they've scored so far. But with the fouls, with the turnovers, it's allowed run-out opportunities for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, who are outscoring West Virginia 13-0 on points off of turnovers, and a big reason for their 16-point lead. Aside from the shooting, 3 of 16 for West Virginia.
They had a 7-minute scoreless drought. And again, more turnovers. Obviously in field goals and as many turnovers as points. Kalichla's been in and out of the game. See if they can get him involved and get him some touches. It's been a challenge even to get it to him in the low block because of the defense collapsing by Gonzaga.
Point of emphasis for the Gonzaga Bulldogs will try to take away the interior presence of West Virginia and force shots to come from outside. They've been highly successful in that so far. You see 0 for 8 from three-point land. There's a lot of shots coming from those long distance.
Dower turned it over, tried to spin, and Humphries got it ahead to Hines. And again, just a great effort trying to even get it down to the low block to Kalichla. It's knocked out of bounds by Gonzaga. You got Karnowski guarding the baseline, and then there was a foul on West Virginia on the inbound. There's a player control foul, so no free throws personal on Humphries. Second.
But a lost opportunity, a lost possession. Those are empty possessions. The call away from the ball. And Coach Huggins obviously not happy about that call.
Turnover number 12 by the Mountaineers here in the first half. Pangos lost it as the Zags turn it over. They're having troubles of their own protecting the ball. Their 7th turnover. Now a blocking foul on Pangos as Aaron Brown took it to the hole. That's 2 on Pangos and the 10th team foul on the Zags.
Kevin just really loose with the ball up top. And that allowed West Virginia to get out in transition. And every time there's been a turnover where West Virginia's been in the open floor, they've made some positive things happen, whether that's getting to the free throw line like they're doing in this opportunity or scoring looks.
Aaron Brown, a sophomore, getting a lot of playing time here in the first half. He's getting to the free throw line, but unable to knock him down. He's 1 of 3 now at the stripe. One more coming here. Payne goes to the bench for the Zags. two for Brown. 27-12. Gonzaga 7 to go here in the first.
And Stockton in control of the ball. And that's going to allow, again, West Virginia to set up their defense, try to pressure Gonzaga and get them out of a rhythm and flow. After their cold start, they heated up. And that started a lot from the perimeter, but then they were able to dump the ball down low. Find guys up over the top.
Stockton picked up by Staten, or make that Hines on defense. Staten defending Bell. Dower setting the screen. And Bell looking for Karnowski, but Kalichla fronting.
One of the best possessions we've seen so far defensively for West Virginia.
Shot clock at 7. And it's rare we've seen the Zags take a shot with time running down on the shot clock. And they get a good one. Dower was open and with 2 on the timer. He hits it.
You work hard, but then you lunge and reach and get yourself out of position, and that's what allowed Dower to have the wide open look from the free throw line.
Got to be frustrating for Bob Huggins. You go 33 seconds of playing good defense on that possession. Kalichla fouled by Karnowski, and he'll shoot 2. Second on Karnowski. Again, both teams in the double bonus.
In that last possession, Dower sets the screen up top. Doesn't even really make a lot of contact, but watch the flyby by Staten. And that flyby is what allowed Dower to have a clean look at the hoop. So even with the defense collapsing and going to Stockton, if Staten just checks up and contests the shot, gives yourself a better opportunity.
And Kalichla way off of the first. Coming up on Wednesday, got an NBA doubleheader starting in Oklahoma City. The Red Hot Grizzlies have won 5 in a row, just beat the Heat the other night. That's at 8, and then the Clippers and Heat. At 10:30 from Los Angeles, it all starts with Kia NBA Countdown at 7.
Of course, you'll be in Oklahoma City for that game against the Memphis Grizzlies. A lot of fun to watch the Thunder go. They get up and down the floor.
And Durant, Westbrook, OKC in a learning phase without James Harden. And West Virginia in discovery mode as well. What's harder if you're the Mountaineers and you've got a new nucleus, offense or defense?
I think it comes at the offensive end of the floor. Defense is about effort. When you play for Coach Huggins, you got to extend out, pressure the ball, and make plays.
Karnowski had an easy one. He couldn't make it, but he was fouled and will go to the line.
Offense comes a little bit more difficult when you're trying to identify where a person wants the ball passed to them, how they want it delivered to them, where they're most successful in scoring. And when you have a couple of transfers, even though they've been around the program, it does still add an element of, hey, this is going to take some time to find our rhythm and flow.
And the 7'1" freshman from Poland, Szymek Karnowski at the free throw line. This certainly will be a player to watch in the WCC this year, and then perhaps nationally as well. Coaches want him to get into better shape.
But he's got great touch, great size. He played for the U19 Polish team in the World Championships, and a very talented young man.
Missed both free throws. Hart knocked it out, but into the hands of West Virginia, and then Staten misfires in the pull-up J. West Virginia shooting 19% from the field. Bell on the drive, floater, able to knock it down off glass. The lead is 19, and 7 points now for Gary Bell.
2-3 zone for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Humphrey will rise. Way off from 3. West Virginia 0 for 9 from behind the arc. Another 3-point try won't go for Hines. And cleared by Karnowski. Bell, an open 3. It's good.
Game 1 of the tip-off marathon, and Gary Bell, after a solid freshman campaign, is starting off his sophomore year with no slump. Driving to the hoop, showing the versatility and the range from the outside, and the sophomore's got 10. And the Gonzaga Bulldogs up big, and you see the difference in 3-point field goals 5 of 9 for Gonzaga and an 0 for the Mountaineers.
And a 7-0 run by Gonzaga over the last minute 50. 34-12. Gonzaga leads 4:40 on the clock here in the first half. Bell and Pangos with 10 points apiece to lead Gonzaga. Hines and Murray with 4 apiece for West Virginia. Finally, a 3-ball goes as Henderson knocks it down, a freshman from Raleigh, North Carolina.
That just stops it momentarily. Now you got to try to string together stops at the defensive end of the floor.
That's not a stop. That's an easy one for Hart. As West Virginia fell asleep on defense, and that'll make Bob Huggins more angry than the missed shots on the other end.
No excuse to allow a player to stand directly underneath the hoop and be unaccounted for.
Stockton almost with a steal. And a jump ball call that will stay West Virginia ball, according to the alternate possession arrow. There's John watching his son. Got to be happy with what he's seen so far at Gonzaga. Right now leading by 21. David Stockton, beautiful look, but Hart was wide open. All right, Ravi, they're rocking here at Gonzaga with the Bulldogs leading by 21 in hour 1 of the 5th annual tip-off marathon. Easy buckets right now for Gonzaga, Sean.
And it starts with fundamentals. Sometimes the most dangerous man on the court is the one that sets the screens. The defense is going to shift down this area after Hart sets the screen. Watch what happens. He peels off, finds himself wide open in the center of the floor, unaccounted for. Stockton with the great court vision finds him underneath and the easy finish.
Now Stockton last year averaged 4 points per game. And John comes to all the games. He played at Gonzaga and the all-time assist leader in the NBA and has stayed up here in the Spokane area. Very involved in the university. Murray at the free throw line. Stockton with a reach in. That was the other thing about John when he played. Not just a great assist man, but terrific defensive player. And his son pretty good too.
Yeah, his son has gotten really talented at gambling a little bit from that weak side position, but having active hands.
Shot clock violation as West Virginia turns it over for the 14th time.
Coach Huggins pointing at the shot clock. Said it's right there, fellas. You got to have awareness.
I don't know. I've been covering West Virginia in the Big East for a lot of years, and obviously Bob Huggins is one of the best coaches in college basketball. This may be one of the bigger challenges he's had, trying to get a group with 3 transfers on the same page, as you see again, defensively falling asleep, and Dower getting the easy bucket. West Virginia really struggling at both ends.
Great interior pass that time by Karnowski, setting up his teammate.
Down 23 with 3 minutes to go here in the first half. 3-pointer straight on is way off from Henderson. Brown got the long rebound though. Alexla trying to post up. Brown on the drive. Nice spin. And he banks it in.
Brown trying to push himself a little bit to get active. 4 points for him here in the first half.
Bell, Karnowski, very patient, then reversed and put it in.
And that's what people love about him up here, the poise that the freshman has. Didn't immediately try to go up through the contact. Instead, allow the shot blocker to fly on by, reverse layup. Make it easy.
Used the dribble to make sure he didn't travel as well, put it in. Kalichla facing a double team, now a triple team as Stockton came down, and now a 3-pointer from Brown won't go. Karnowski with the rebound. Inside 2 to play here in the first half. Karnowski left open again underneath. Kalichla was late rotating and an easy bucket.
3 baskets in a row from their bigs, all underneath the hoop. Dower repaying the favor from 2 possessions ago, and this time he finds Karnowski down low.
Kalichla is fouled by Karnowski. That's 3 on him.
We talk about working the inside out, the strength of the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and it starts with great interior passing. Karnowski feels Kalichla, sees Dower wide open on the weak side. Next possession. The guards up top find Karnowski, has the patience to go to the reverse layup, and then this time Dower sees Murray come on out. Help side defense, slow rotating over. Karnowski too deep in the paint to stop him from finishing that one.
Gonzaga's made its last 7 shots. Some of them have been right around the rim. Because of poor defense, as Kalichla at the free throw line shooting 2. Only 56% at the stripe a year ago. That's his first point of the game.
He averaged about 11 points per contest, just a little bit under 11 points per contest last year, and they need him to be a scoring option down low. If they're going to continue to struggle from the outside, they need to find points underneath. Just 1 of 13 from behind the arc in this one.
Good hustle by Brown, getting the rebound off the missed free throw. Minute remaining here in the first half. Gonzaga leading by 24. Kalichla with 8 to shoot, and almost threw it into the stands. And he was out of bounds, they say. So Gonzaga ball.
A sloppy pass. Great effort by Brown going up, trying to save that one and keep it in bounds. Well, we're going to go to the half here, and Seth Greenberg back in the studios. I don't know what Seth would say if he was coaching the Mountaineers. What he would tell them at halftime, trying to inspire them to come back out.
Bell hits a 3. Bell with 13 points, 3 of 4 from behind the arc.
As everything here in the first half has gone the Bulldogs' way.
15 seconds remaining in the half. Staten with 7. And got a foul called on West Virginia on Staten as Bell was going for the loose ball. So it'll be free throws with 4.3 on the clock.
And that's his 3rd personal for Staten. And one of those fouls now with 4.3 seconds left to go. Loose ball situation.
Team control foul here, Sean, so no free throws with the loose ball there.
Bringing a couple of shooters. Barham, the transfer from Memphis, is checked into the game.
And Gonzaga going to call a timeout. Mark Few was about 10 feet onto the court trying to get Jimmy Case's attention. 45-18, 4.3 remaining in the half. Sean, you and I thought that this might be a tough game for West Virginia. I don't know if anybody could have predicted this, though. Mountaineers got a long way to go.
No, and it goes back to what we talked about off the top on our one-on-one. Finding easy looks. There's been no easy looks here in the first half. Really limited for the Mountaineers. On the flip side, dictating the tempo and the flow of this game. Pangos and Bell have been able to dictate it, and mainly Bell. His hot shooting from the outside, his ability to break down the defense has also allowed some of those bigs to get going later here in the first half.
And Bell's been outstanding, 13 points. He's got 3 threes in this game. Gonzaga started cold, 1 of 12. But look what they've done since. They've made 14 of their last 16 from the field. And they weren't all around the rim. Bell and Pangos combining for 5 threes during that span.
And 6 of 10 from three-point land, 60% from behind the arc here in the first half for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Mountaineers just 1 of 13 from the field. Almost as many turnovers as points in the first half. 15 turnovers and 18 points.
And last year during the tip-off marathon, it was Pangos that set it on fire. And right now, Gary Bell Jr. asserting himself. Last year, maybe a little bit underrated. A great defensive player, hit the timely shot, but this year, being much more aggressive.
Not sure what the discussion is here. Perhaps a substitution there. Yep, Stockton going out.
They had subbed in Barham, and they called the timeout, and then took him back off the floor. And no time had elapsed off the clock.
Again, a team control foul, so no free throws. Here's Bell with 2. Bell with 1, lets it fly. And that's the end of the first half. Gonzaga leading at 45-18 over West Virginia. The Zags shoot 52% from the field. West Virginia 22%. Now the UPS halftime report. Carl Ravitch. From the Kennel McCarthy Athletic Center in Spokane. Hour number 2 of the tip-off marathon. 15 games and 1/2 to go on the ESPN networks. Gonzaga rolling 45-18. Dave Pass for Sean Farnham. Gonzaga started the game 1 for 12, and its best player didn't score. Yet the Zags lead by 27. What happened?
Well, it's just explosive offense. They started turning it over for West Virginia. That allowed for easy runouts, and the perimeter shooting of Gonzaga really got them ignited. In the first half, overall, 6 of 11 from behind the arc. Pangos had 2 of them. Then Gary Bell Jr. attacking the rim, slicing up the defense, stretching it out from the outside. A couple of made 3-pointers for him as well. Screen, pick and pop. They had their way, and now West Virginia has got to rebound. There's 2 things I look at here. How competitive and how much fight are we going to see out of the Mountaineers in the second half? And how much attention to detail can we get out of the Gonzaga Bulldogs? Can they handle this lead and still execute the way they did down the stretch of the first half?
West Virginia's last game was against Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament last year. The Zags won that game by 23. They led by 18 at the half in that game, 40-22. Good start defensively to this half for the Mountaineers, who had just 5 baskets in the first half and allowed Gonzaga to shoot 52% from the field. Nice move along the baseline there by Eric Murray.
Well, the second time in this game, we've seen an easy entry pass down low and a nice finish, and both times it's come to the hands of Murray.
Knocked out of bounds, but a foul is called. That's on Humphrey, and that's his 3rd personal. There were 25 fouls called in the first half.
And 13-12. So balance within those fouls. The early fouls, though, I really think disrupted West Virginia's approach and their flow to the game.
Bell to the basket. There was contact. And Harris is there. His first points of the game. Last year, 13 points per contest. He's on the Wooden Award preseason list for the 3rd straight year.
And we'll start the second half in the 2-3 zone for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Here's Hines from up top. Knocks down a 3. That's 7 points for Hines. Eddie back up court. Can't drop it in.
That was a rushed look. No need for that one.
3-pointer won't go for Humphrey, but able to track it down is Murray. Staten fakes the pass, takes it along 2, and up high is Harris for the rebound. Harris pushing the tempo, lost it, but it ends up in Pangos' hands. Pangos had 10 points in the first half as Harris puts up an air ball.
A couple of ugly rushed possessions for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
How do you keep the intensity if you're Gonzaga when you've got a 27-point lead at halftime?
The great teams will do it, and the ones that understand the way that Coach Huggins' teams will execute in the second half.
West Virginia with a turnover, had 15 in the first half. Good save by Bell. Keep it from going out of bounds. Nice cut. And Pangos unable to get the basket, but he's fouled. That's 2 quick ones on West Virginia in the half, and Hines' 2nd personal.
What happens a couple possessions ago, Elias Harris finally gets on the board. Watch the drive. He kind of seals off Kalichla. Murray comes over if he's going to block the shot, but he vacates his spot, and that allows Harris to get the easy finish.
And a timeout called by Bob Huggins early in the second half. His team down 47-23. Back in Spokane for hour number 2 of the tip-off marathon. 24 hours and 16 games across 5 time zones of college basketball. The journey to the tourney, the upcoming schedule. State Farm Champions Classic tonight. Depending on where you are in the country, it's tomorrow if you're on the West Coast. Michigan State, Kansas, followed by Duke, Kentucky. Also, they got the Progressive Legends Classic coming up November 20th. And some great matchups in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, including NC State, Michigan. How about the Kansas-Michigan State game, Sean, tomorrow night?
Jeff Withey, one of those preseason Wooden Award candidates, had a great start to his season, 17-12-5. And I think that was the big question for Kansas, replacing Thomas Robinson, and how would Jeff Withey make that transition from being part of the wheel to being the main cog in the wheel down low. And he certainly showed up in game 1. A tough test, though, coming up against Michigan State. And Sparty struggled over in Germany, especially from the outside. 23% shooting from behind the arc.
Yeah, congratulations to Kevin Ollie, the new coach of the UConn Huskies, at least for this year, getting that win as Pangos has one more free throw, 10 points in the game. You know, a lot of people are saying the Big Ten could be the best conference in college basketball this year, with Michigan, Ohio State in the top 5 to start. What do you think?
Well, of course, in Indiana at number 1, and Cody Zeller, the preseason favorite for that Wooden Award. I think from top to bottom, the Big Ten is the strongest conference in the country this year. I think Michigan State is going to only get better as the season goes on. I think even a team like Iowa can sneak up in that conference.
Foul on Bell of Gonzaga. The first on the Zags here in the half, and his second personal. And obviously you know about Indiana, but you got Michigan in the top 5. John Beilein, the former West Virginia coach there.
Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr. A talented core of freshmen.
Got another Zags foul here. This one on Pangos. That's 3 on him.
And this is where you got to be careful if you're Gonzaga. 2 fouls on this possession. Pangos goes to the bench. West Virginia still struggling, though, to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah, I don't know how careful. I mean, I get what you're saying, but he got a 25-point lead on a team that scored 23 points and a 16 turnover. And another foul inside on Gonzaga. That's 3 in 7 seconds. 3 on Harris.
So similar to what we saw in the first half when the early fouls racked up against the Mountaineers. This time in the second half, they're going against the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
But this gives you a snapshot of what Gonzaga can be this year when a guy like Harris doesn't score in the first half, yet you got a big lead. Although West Virginia cutting into that lead with the 3-point basket from Humphrey.
A bad place for Stockton to pick the ball up.
And a West Virginia foul now. 13 foul on the Mountaineers. And that's on Noreen, his third. Give the officials credit for being consistent.
Coach Huggins' team, a couple 3-pointers here in the early stage of the second half.
Noreen pokes it away, but ends up in the hands of Harris. Harris spinning, can't score, but he's fouled. Kalichla picked up the foul. And free throws coming for Elias Harris.
Now this is where Elias Harris has gotten a little bit better this year, attacking off the bounce with a purpose. And he came in as a freshman, gained a lot of notoriety with his success, and he's been injured over the last 2 seasons. Maybe thought a little bit too much the type of moves he was making, where he was out on the floor this year. And talking with Elias, he said, I don't want to think this much. I just want to react and I want to play. And the preparation that he's put in the offseason has him set up and poised to have a huge senior season.
A very good rebounder, averaged close to 9 per game last year, and he can shoot it from outside. He didn't take a lot of threes but shot 41%, made 29 of them over the course of the year, so about 1 per game. There's Kalichla. Really hasn't given West Virginia much of anything tonight. Good drive there, aggressive to the bucket, but he couldn't get it to go. Humphrey keeps it alive, and now Hines pulls the trigger.
Humphrey's all over the floor right now.
His first game as a Mountaineer, transferring from Boston College. And a poor entry pass there. Turnover, Hines. Oh, beautiful move by Hines. That's the second time tonight off the pass. In one motion, he's gone up and put it in. This time he draws a foul. Stockton picks up his third. And we come back to look at the Wendy's Wooden Watch, which includes Elias Harris.
Welcome back to the tip-off marathon. Elias Harris limited only 8 minutes in the first half. In the second half, 3 points already in the first 4. An explosive player, 11 double-doubles a year ago. You see his numbers overall. A reason why, as we take a look at tonight's Wendy's Wooden Watch, brought to you by Wendy's. The season stats for a year ago, his improved shooting from the outside. And with all the pieces around him, Dave, Elias Harris is poised to be one of those guys that makes the cut on the Wooden Watch list as it progresses throughout the course of the season.
West Virginia on an 8-2 run over the last 2.5. And Kalichla couldn't handle the rebound there, so it's Gonzaga ball. Well, you look at the lineup for the Bulldogs. You talked about the people around Harris. This is one of the guys, obviously, Kevin Pangos, who is the leading returning scorer and an excellent three-point shooter. And Gary Bell improving his game. Wait till Karnowski gets some more action. Barring the transfer from Memphis, and Olynyk when he becomes eligible.
There's a small lineup for Mark Few out on the floor right now with Stockton, Pangos, and Bell, and they like the way they play together.
Strong move by Harris. Couldn't get it to go, but he was fouled. That's 4 on Noreen.
They're giving him that on the shot.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened where we've seen a blocking foul, and they have given 2 free throws to the Zag shooter. Happened in the first half as well.
I thought that one was on the floor and should be taken out underneath.
15 foul in West Virginia. Harris, 67% free throw shooter, and misses the first.
He had some groin issues earlier in the season, and it prevented him from really getting a fresh start even to this season. I mentioned some of his injury woes, whether it was a shoulder, he tweaked his Achilles 2 years ago against San Diego State, but primarily healthy right now. And he can be an explosive threat underneath, and especially with this lineup right now, they need him to show some toughness and grit.
Got 4 points, 4 rebounds. Gonzaga leading by 22, led by 27 at the half. Hines trying to drive on Pangos. Here's Staten. And the shot clock at 8. Gonzaga's played very good defensively tonight. Kalichla, a nice move.
And Dower just bounced off the size of Kalichla, and those are the type of moves, if you're a West Virginia fan, you want to see a lot more of during the course of this season.
His first field goal, and now a steal for Humphrey, and the jam. And West Virginia's got it down to 18.
Eating away at the lead, little by little, 5 minutes in.
And that gets Mark Few up off the bench. Here's Harris, and a good screen set. Stockton, and Harris hits a 3.
Kalichla fatigued, maybe a little bit there, but didn't fight through that screen at all, and slow getting out. He pulls out to Harris.
Hines stolen away. Stockton on the other end, and it's goaltending by Murray. Count the basket.
And Kalichla being subbed out of the game, and just a lack of fight. Gary Bell, and then not getting through a screen by David Stockton. And that's Kalichla and his size. 260 plus pounds getting picked off by David Stockton, who weighs about 160.
Yeah, shouldn't happen. Got an offensive foul. That's on Murray. 6th team foul on West Virginia. 2nd personal on Murray. And the Mountaineers have almost 2 weeks off before they play again. You would think Bob Huggins would love to have more game action. And he's watched these guys enough in practice. So the 3 transfers he saw last year, he wants them to get some chemistry on the court in games.
We mentioned this part of the Old Spice Classic doesn't affect the bracket at all. And these 2 teams could actually match up again in Orlando.
In fact, West Virginia could actually have a game against Oklahoma coming up, which would technically be a non-league game, even though now they're both in the Big 12. And they'll play each other twice during the regular season. Here's the Old Spice Classic bracket. Tonight's game doesn't actually impact the bracket or the outcome of the event, which is November 22nd through the 25th. You can see it ESPN, ESPN2.
Davidson part of that field. Of course, they're coming up next against New Mexico. Damon Brooks, Southern Conference Player of the Year a year ago, 24 points in the opener for Davidson, who always has a couple of shooters on the outside for Coach McKillop.
Great way to start the marathon, too, with 2 of the loudest venues in college basketball here in Gonzaga and then at the pit up next. 3-pointer. Pangos buries it. 2-pointer, foot on the line. But a 25-point lead for the Zags. And a 7-0 run. The first 2 for Pangos. His other 2 baskets triple.
And that's where he's dangerous in transition. I mean, he can catch and shoot from anywhere on the floor, but the transition 3 is where Kevin Pangos has thrived. And of course, last year, Dave Pasch, you were here. You saw it with Doris Burke as Kevin Pangos introduced himself to the college basketball landscape.
This is the NCAA tournament game from last year. Gonzaga, West Virginia. Pangos was good in that game as well. So was Bell. But to your point, last year in the tip-off marathon, when they beat Washington State, not a lot of people outside of the Gonzaga program knew about Kevin Pangos, but he hit 9 threes, 9 of 16 from behind the arc, scored 33 points in that game against the Cougars.
Well, and I think the big question for Gonzaga coming into this season is leadership. Robert Sacre was without question their emotional and vocal leader a year ago. And when talking with Kevin Pangos, he felt his time around the Canadian national team program this summer really benefited him a great deal. Hanging around Steve Nash and Corey Joseph and so many guys that have now gone from Canada into the NBA. He just learned and absorbed. He said, I didn't say a whole lot. I didn't have to say a whole lot. Nash didn't have to tell me a lot about how to be a leader. But what I did was observe Steve Nash and the way that he was able to control and dictate what was going on out on the floor. And you couldn't help but soak that in.
You know, and Mark Few, obviously very good X's and O guy, but also his evaluation of talent and his staff when they recruit, considering they got players from all over the world on this roster, and that's the norm for Gonzaga in terms of how they get their players. Good hustle by Pangos, but touched it last. It'll stay West Virginia ball.
Well, you mentioned his coaching staff from Mark Few. Tommy Lloyd does a lot of that international recruiting. Ray Giacoletti, a superb job with their interior post presence, head coaching experience at Utah.
Good defense there by Gonzaga, forces West Virginia to call a timeout.
And of course, Donnie Daniels as well. Former head coach, assistant coach at UCLA for their Final Four runs. A very experienced group underneath him.
Well, here's what you're talking about from this time last year to tip off a great 24 hours of basketball. Kevin Pangos, 9 3-pointers.
Just a sensational release. You look at all these shots. His footwork, he's set, he's ready to go up. His release is very tight. And in transition, you'll see Kevin Pangos as he pushes up, surveys the defense. Couple guys back, no worries. He's got that in the bag.
Got 13 points tonight, 3 assists. He averaged 3.5 assists per game last year.
You think about Gonzaga. Right now, 7 of 12 from behind the arc. 58% from three-point range. 50% from the field. Their ability to score in a variety of ways and then defend you makes them a dangerous team. And you asked me earlier, how good can this team be? I think the sky is the limit for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They've long waited for a run to the Final Four, and this team with its depth has that kind of potential.
Well, last year they finished second in their league, lost to St. Mary's. It ended a string of 11 consecutive WCC regular season titles. They also lost the WCC tournament championship game. Still made it to the NCAA tournament as an at-large. Offensive foul is called. Contact between Pangos and Noreen, who's playing with 4 fouls, and that's now 4 on Pangos.
And Noreen, that's what he does for West Virginia. And they really missed him a lot down the stretch of the regular season a year ago when he broke his leg at Pitt. They ended up going 4-9 down the rest of the regular season after starting the season 15-5.
Through the hands of Humphrey, almost another turnover by West Virginia. They've done a little bit better job protecting the ball in the second half. Only 3 turnovers since intermission after 15 in the first half. There's a 27-point Gonzaga lead at the end of 1 half of play. Got a foul underneath, and it's going to be on the Zags. 25-point lead for the home team. You're looking live at the Tip-Off Social Hub. This is Mission Control for all things social. Join the conversation on Twitter. Go to @ESPNCBB. Tip-Off Marathon. 24 hours, everything social surrounding the Tip-Off Marathon will be observed, followed, and amplified from this hub. Again, #Tip-Off Marathon. You also have @Sean Farnham, @Dave Pash if you want to tweet us individually, and I guarantee you Farnham will respond because he tweets nonstop.
What are you saying
now, aren't you?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to a word you were saying, Dave Pash. I'm too busy tweeting that Dave Pash is talking about Twitter right now.
He will respond to you folks if you tweet him. Not just about college basketball either, but of course all the great stuff going on in this next 24 hours. He's going to be up for all of it. So you can get him in Frischilla. I guarantee you Frischilla will be up also for the next 24 hours in tweets as well. Go
to sleep. You've got 3 games at the Tip-Off Marathon. Why are you still up tweeting right now, Fran?
Well, his wake-up call's in an hour. So why bother sleeping at this point? And I'm not kidding when I say that you will stay up for the next 22 hours. We are entering hour number 3 here in about 10 minutes.
There'll be a lot of great games in this Tip-Off Marathon. Xavier Butler, one of the ones I'm looking forward to. Both teams in the Atlantic 10 this year. And Butler struggled to shoot the ball from the perimeter a year ago. Brad Stevens' team gets a big boost with Rodney Clark, the transfer from Arkansas.
With all of the realignment, obviously West Virginia in the Big 12, as we have a tie-up here, unless they call it foul. There's a tie-up. West Virginia in the Big 12. Butler the A-10. You have A&M in Missouri in the SEC now.
And VCU also in the A-10 now. A lot of realignment, a lot of different schedules. And people forget these schedules have been made out for well over a year, sometimes 2 years in advance, which is why you can have a matchup like we have in the Tip-Off Marathon between 2 teams that'll be playing in the A-10 this year.
Got a foul inside. Actually looked like a flop. This is the NBA. Right now, Kevin Noreen would be getting a warning. Did you see that? Noreen bumped into Karnowski, and Karnowski didn't do anything, but just got called for his 4th foul. Watch this here.
Not a lot there.
I mean, both
guys are initiating the contact coming together.
Yeah, but the 3rd time, that was totally a flop. 1-1 for Noreen. First point of the night for Noreen, who's really been battling injuries in his tenure at West Virginia. Had the broken ankle last year in January. Took a medical red shirt 2 years ago with a knee injury. Harris on the baseline, close to a push-off, but instead Noreen picks up his 5th. #17 foul on West Virginia. Noreen fouls out with 2 points, no rebounds.
Frustrating night for the Mountaineers.
But knowing Bob Huggins and his coaching staff, which, by the way, includes Ron Everhart, who was the head coach at Duquesne, but he's back in his home state of West Virginia. His first year as an assistant on the staff. There's Ron. This is a good group, and they'll get West Virginia playing better come conference time.
Well, a great story about Ron Everhart and Coach Huggins, and where their relationship actually began was when Coach Huggins was playing at West Virginia. Ron Everhart used to go and rebound. He lived about 15 miles away from Morgantown. He'd drive up and rebound for Coach Huggins in the gym. And so when Coach Huggins had an opening spot on his staff and he became available after Duquesne, his tenure at Duquesne came to a close, there was an immediate call for Coach Huggins to bring him back home to West Virginia.
Joins a pretty good staff that includes Eric Martin and associate head coach Larry Harrison.
And what they ask is they ask their guys to compete, and we've even seen that here in the second half. There's not a lot of positives you're going to take away, but this is a team that hasn't given up in this game. They haven't gone away. They are trying to fight back and scratch and claw, and as the season progresses, they're going to get better. That is a staple of a Bob Huggins coach basketball team.
Well, and if they don't, those 3-hour practices are going to become 4 hours. I apologize there for, again, some technical difficulties with the audio. 10.5 remaining. 58-34. Gonzaga on top of West Virginia. Zags playing their second game of the year. They beat Southern Utah in their opener. This is West Virginia's opener. A new era of Mountaineer basketball, playing in the Big 12 and then trying to get the newcomers up to speed. 3 transfers in the starting lineup. 2 from the Atlantic 10, 1 from the ACC. Elandrietti is fouled. That's the 18th foul on West Virginia. And an Eric Murray, one of those transfers coming over from LaSalle, gets his 3rd personal foul.
And a great move by Elandrietti to pressure release from the denial of the Mountaineers. And Mark Few told his team yesterday, when you back cut, there is no fake back cutting in this game. And when you read that over, they're overplaying you. You backdoor and you go all the way through. And that time, Guy Landrietti made sure he followed that rule that Coach Few required of his guys and asked of them yesterday.
14th year for Mark Few as the head coach. 24th overall, was an assistant under Dan Munson here before getting the head job. Obviously, he's had opportunities to go elsewhere, but he loves it in Spokane. And the fans here at Gonzaga are glad that he stayed. Certainly one of the best in the business, and that winning percentage of 79% shows that. I know he's playing in the WCC, not playing in a power conference, but there's some good teams in this league. And he's had some success in the NCAA tournament as Kalichla gets the stop.
Well, the WCC and the brand of basketball has dramatically improved. Yes. And the landscape has changed with BYU and St. Mary's. But the thing that impresses me most is Mark Few, every single season, schedules one of the more difficult non-conference schedules in the country. He doesn't duck anybody. He'll play you anywhere at any time. And games like this help the team prepare for March.
Eddie hits a 3. That's 10 points now, his first triple of the game. Gonzaga started 1 of 12 from the field. They are 19 of 27 since then. Meanwhile, West Virginia shooting under 30% for the game. 9 minutes remaining, 26-point lead for the Zags. And contact out on the perimeter, and a foul called on Henderson, his second. 19 fouls, so 1 and 1 coming up for Stockton. Now, how difficult it must be for David Stockton, obviously with his dad, John, and growing up in Spokane, playing at the school where his dad played, where his dad comes to all the games and is very involved in the university. But it shows you how close they are as father and son, and the relationship they have, and the type of young man that David is to take on that challenge.
Well, he plays with a great deal of maturity, a great deal of poise, and has only improved over the last season and a half. I mean, he's really begun to have a defined role on this team where you can't keep him off the court. And he's earned that right to be out there.
You see the leadership, too. He's doing a lot of talking on defense here in the zone. Three-pointer on the way from Humphrey. Brown got the rebound and foul. That's on Guy Landrietti. Tomorrow night on ESPN2, coverage of women's college basketball tips off between two top 10 teams at 6. All-American Brittany Griner, defending champion Bears, begin their run at back-to-back titles, taking on Kentucky Tuesday 6 on ESPN2. Terrific season for Baylor a year ago, and they're going to be tough to beat in 2012-2013.
Well, that matchup in particular, Kentucky actually ended the Gonzaga women's team run in the NCAA tournament last year in Rhode Island. But Brittany Griner is a difference maker without question. If you've watched college basketball at all, men's or women's, you know the impact that she has had on the game and how she has taken Baylor to the top of the mountaintop. You think about her and Skylar Diggins, the point guard from Notre Dame, from Muffet McGraw. And Elena Deladon from Delaware. Those are the big three in women's college basketball this season.
Obviously, it'll be different without Pat Summitt in Tennessee, and the Lady Vols lost the other night, Chattanooga. Eddy with the bucket, and it's 64-37 Gonzaga. 12 points for Eddy. Under 8 to go in game 1 of 16 on the ESPN networks. Up next from the pit, New Mexico and a very good Davidson team. Kalichla off the mark. Hustling down court, though, to get in position to defend Harris.
You mentioned New Mexico, Steve Alford's team.
Harris takes it to the goal and is fouled. Kalichla picks up the personal, his third.
Understanding your offense, your strengths and weaknesses. Guy Landrietti, one of the best slashers on the West Coast, and in the 24-hour tip-off marathon, goes down the lane, and it's a blow-by. Easy finish. It's been a good night for the Bulldogs.
Marathon, right?
Now tomorrow or tonight, depending on where you are, ESPN has 4 championship coaches headlining the State Farm Champions Classic from the Georgia Dome at 7. Tom Izzo in Michigan State, Bill Self in Kansas. Then Coach K, Coach Calipari, Duke, Kentucky at 9 on ESPN. That's a picture there of Tom Izzo. You could take that at any game. Obviously one of the more intense coaches in college basketball, coming off a loss to Connecticut on Friday.
But a beautiful way to start off the college basketball season. Of course, we had all those great games on Friday, 124 games on Friday. But the 24-hour tip-off marathon, you get to see so many teams, as you mentioned, from so many different states as we enter hour 3. St. John's and Detroit, Steve Lavin, cancer-free, back on the sideline for St. John's. And Detroit, one of the most talented players in the country, and Ray McCallum Jr. Talented point guard, 22 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in their opener. So many great games to look forward to.
And great to hear, too, about Coach Lab, that he's doing well. Guy you played for at UCLA, one of our former colleagues here at ESPN. And obviously a couple years ago had a great run with St. John's in the Big East and struggled last year with a young team. And Dunlap, one of his obviously key assistants, now coaching in the NBA, got the head job at the Charlotte Bobcats. Gonzaga led by 27 at the half. West Virginia's played better here in the second half, but unable to dig out of that huge hole. 15 first half turnovers and only 18 points. They've already had more scoring here in the second half through almost 13 minutes than they had in 20. Harris with the backside board off the miss from Aaron Brown. Shortly, Davidson and New Mexico will tip off, and that game will start in ESPNU. We'll get you right out to the pit when we're done here on ESPN. Another Kalichla foul on the inside is 4th.
Jake Cohen's ability to shoot the three, this big 6'10" fixture for Davidson and Coach McKillop. Dave Fleming, Miles Simon on the call down there at the pit. The Snake will be there, of course, one of the most famous or infamous fans of the Lobos. And Tony Snell, his ability to score. What he worked on most in the offseason, though, was his rebounding ability. He knows he has to do a little bit more for Coach Alford this year. I look forward to getting back to the hotel and watching that contest and seeing Tony's growth. The Mountain West Conference going to be very strong this year. San Diego State, although they took the loss to Syracuse, UNLV, a very deep and talented team for Coach Rice in his second season.
Did you say the Snake? That's you speak from experience?
That's his nickname, yes. I've been to the pit. I've met Snake. Somebody will tweet him right now and tell him he just got a mention, and he'll be excited about it.
Entry pass to Kalishla. Way off the mark for that one. 6.5 remaining. You know, Gonzaga, we talked a lot about their offense tonight. 53% shooting, but the Zags have played outstanding defense, half court and full court. Are you surprised that Gonzaga still has starters on the floor and a 30-point game? If it's early in the year, just trying to get them minutes.
Get in rhythm, get in the flow. And there's different combinations that have been out there, though. I mean, we've seen lineups with 3 guards. Now we see a lineup where Stockton is the lead guard. Bell Jr.
Three-pointer from Brown, no good, but he was fouled. He'll shoot 3. A great way to watch the tip-off marathon and college basketball throughout the year. The Watch ESPN app. You can also check it out at watchespn.com. College basketball available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. It's a great resource for us at ESPN in preparing for games. Great resource as a fan and watching games as well.
You and I often are in airports, traveling around the country. The opportunity to dial in to any of the games on the network allows us to get ahead sometimes in our preparation. I used it yesterday. We landed here in Spokane in order to watch North Carolina, because I've got North Carolina coming up on Friday in their flyover game from Maui against Long Beach State.
Gary Bell will go to the bench. 15 points and 4 assists for the Zags. And Brown gets the 3rd free throw to drop. And West Virginia hits the 40-point mark. Inside 6 minutes to go. West Virginia still hustling on D, but Harris was fouled by Kalishla, and he's gone. Second Mountaineer to foul out. And Harris will go to the free throw line. Was 4 of 8 so far at the line tonight.
A tough night for Kalishla. 2 of 6 shooting from the floor. 5 personal fouls, 5 points, 5 rebounds. And he's going to have a lot better nights than he had tonight. I think the size and the speed and the quickness and the way that they collapsed on the interior made it very difficult for him from the start.
Now Harris gets the first free throw. Davidson and New Mexico tipping off on ESPNU. And when our game is done here in Spokane, we'll get you to Albuquerque for the remainder of that game on ESPN. Harris with now 11 points, all coming since intermission. And Gonzaga leads it 70-40. Brown on the drive. A follow won't go. As Eric Murray tried to stuff it through, but he was fouled and will go to the free throw line.
And you mentioned Harris's numbers here in the second half. Those first half numbers limited because of only 8 minutes of playing time due to the foul trouble that he got into. He picked up 2 early fouls and had to go to the bench.
Now Murray at the free throw line for West Virginia. You know, we see a lot of time shots of Bob Huggins upset with his team, upset with his players, and certainly we have tonight. But and his practices are hard. But at the same time, I think the moment that really encapsulated it was the Final Four 2010. Deshaun Butler, who's now a grad assistant at West Virginia, when he had that knee injury. Just Huggins showing his love for his player and just how Butler and the rest of the team responds to Huggins. And that's a big reason why Huggins has had such a terrific 31-year run as a head coach at several stops.
So much of it is about relationships. And there's no way you go through 31 years and you have the success that Coach Huggins has had with players like Deshaun Butler without having your players believe and fully understand how you coach, why you coach them that way, and know that you have their best interest and that you have an undying love for them. And Coach Huggins has proven that time and time again.
And Butler hoping that he can get healthy enough where he still can play. He wants a shot still in the NBA and believes that that's a dream that can happen for him. And Guinness gets in the lane and puts it in. 30-point lead again for the Zags. 4.5 to go.
Grant Guinness, 2-time Idaho State Player of the Year, Gatorade State Player of the Year, redshirted last year. He really gained a lot from that experience, learning how to play at the Division I level. He's got some good savvy, as we saw there, putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim.
Heading into the lane, draws contact and a foul on Murray. His fourth. Now this Gonzaga team going to be interesting to watch as the season unfolds, because their ranking and where they are right now is kind of where they were at the beginning of last year. They looked really good early in the season, up and down. Obviously the league was very good last year with St. Mary's winning the WCC. They play such a tough schedule that they're battle-tested come NCAA tournament time. They made it to the 3rd round last year, beating West Virginia. In the 2nd round, they lost to Ohio State in round 3 a season ago.
I think when you look at this schedule and you look at the potential roadblocks ahead, they get Clemson in the opening round, as we showed you earlier in the Old Spice Classic, when they get down to Florida. They get the winner or loser, depending upon what happens in that 1st round game of Oklahoma-UTEP. Potential matchup with Davidson, West Virginia in the finals. Who knows how that bracket will unfold. But you've got games against Illinois, game against Kansas State in the battle in Seattle over the winter break. They've got Baylor. They've got Oklahoma State on New Year's Eve. This is going to be a tested team by the time they get to the West Coast Conference. And that leaves out, by the way, a trip to Indianapolis against Butler.
And an official timeout here. You mentioned Kansas State. Obviously, each year there are many coaching changes. Bob Huggins used to work at K-State. You got Bruce Weber, the former Illinois coach now in Manhattan. Frank Martin going to South Carolina his 1st year with the Gamecocks.
And Rodney McGruder, one of the better players in the Big 12 for Kansas State. That cupboard is not left bare.
West Virginia now in the same league as Kansas State. Mountaineers picked to finish 6th in the Big 12, leaving the Big East after 17 years. Obviously, Syracuse, Pitt, and Notre Dame will soon follow, but going to the ACC from the Big East. 3:52 to go. Gonzaga in command. Gonzaga about to improve to 104-7 at McCarthy Athletic Center since it opened in the 2004-2005 season. Tonight's player of the game brought to you by Old Spice. Gary Bell Jr. a game-high 15 points.
It's not only about his offense when you look at Gary Bell and the way that he can score, slashing to the rim, shooting it from the outside, the mid-range teardrop shot. That's actually one that he's developed during the course of the offseason. But his overall awareness, his basketball IQ, his toughness at the defensive end of the floor, these are all things that are important for Gonzaga to have a great run this season. And Gary Bell Jr., underrated a year ago, kind of lost because of Pangos' performance on the tip-off marathon. And this year, people are going to be talking about Gary Bell Jr.
Yeah, Bell really came alive in the NCAA tournament last year. Averaged 16 points per game in the NCAAs, 10 points per game during the regular season, and led all freshmen in three-point shooting last year at 48%. Was 9th overall in the country. Coming up next, we'll go to the Pit, New Mexico and Davidson. You can see it live over on ESPNU and on the Watch ESPN app, watchespn.com. And we'll get you to the Pit here on ESPN shortly. As with time running down on the shot clock, Eric Murray puts it in. He's got 10 points. First Mountaineer in double figures. That's only their 13th basket of the game. But as the season goes on and Murray and the other transfers get accustomed to playing with the holdovers for West Virginia and they get more game action, you would expect the Mountaineers to improve. Barham for three, won't go. And Miles grabbed the rebound and was fouled.
Barham a little slow getting up. Took some contact to the face, and he already had a broken nose in which they had to re-break to set for him, which is why you can see him with the mask.
See, the guy went over to him. Stockton went over to make sure he's okay. Stockton, one that gave him the broken nose, inadvertent elbow in practice a couple weeks ago. There, Eric Murray was trying to box out Barham.
Keaton Miles at the free throw line. Started 30 of 32 games a season ago. He plays with that toughness, that physical nature that you like to see at the defensive end of the floor, hoping to take a step forward at the offensive end this year. Limited scorer a year ago, and only averaging slightly over a point a game.
And that's his first point in this game. Does have 5 rebounds and a couple of assists for West Virginia as Barham is over on the Gonzaga bench.